Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining us today. Wanted to today start hopefully on the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavad Puran. I wanted to seek the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and the Guru Parampara and Guru Maharaj so that we can try to enter into the nectar of Krishna Lila. I wanted to seek your good wishes and your blessings as well so that we can move forward. Yes, Naniven.
Nabi Prabhuji and Jayanti Mataji ki jai.
We haven't started yet.
All Srila Prabhupada's.
Yeah.
We have reached and Srila Prabhupada, obviously.
Yeah.
Yes, it's his effort.
Yay!
And also the enthusiasm of the devotees.
Yes.
No, thank you, Riyansh. Thank you for all your enthusiasm. Carries us through. So before we dive into the 10th canto, let's have a quick look at the previous 9 cantos, brief overviews. First 2 cantos, the lotus feet of the Lord. And all of the Bhagavatam establishes Bhakti Yoga. And it starts from the very first verse of the first chapter of Canto 1. In these cantos, there are many wonderful prayers by devotees, Lord's how he reciprocates. And the principal one I always remember is Kunti Devi's prayers and how the Lord reciprocated with the Pandavas. The birth of Parikshit is described and his activities of chastising Kali. And the history of the Bhagavatam is given, the process of creation, the Virat Roop, and the Chatusloki, which we've been very fortunate to go through recently with Karuna Bandar. Very, very nice to recite those a little bit more detail. And of course, the 10 definition of the 10 topics of the Bhagavatam, which are here. No, sorry, they're not. They are in all the Puranas have these 10 topics, which are Sarga, Visarga, creation, subcreation, etc., the avatars and so on. The 3rd and 4th cantos correspond to the thighs of the Lord, and they discuss mainly the primary and secondary creations. Through the conversation, which goes right through Canto 3 and a lot of Canto 4 as well, between Vidur and Maitri. And they discuss creation, subcreation, time, embryology, family life. Sankhya Yoga is there because Kapil Muni's pastimes are described in Canto 3. Bhakti Yoga, of course, Astanga Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, spiritual material world. Pastimes of Varaha described, and the descriptions of Vaikuntha and Lord Vishnu in some detail. Then the interaction of Kashyap and Aditi, and how that contrasts with Kardam Muni and Devahuti, who were the father and mother of Kapil Dev. And then, of course, we had the teachings of Lord Kapil. 4th canto is where Maitri Rishi talks about the family lines of Swambhu Manu's descendants. He had 3 daughters, 2 sons, Devahuti, Kuti, Pashuti, and Uttanpa. Very good. And other amazing personalities come into this canto. Lord Shiva, Suniti, Dhruv Maharaj, extraordinary pastime. King Anga, Prithu, Pachetas. Again, we were very fortunate to listen to the prayers of the Pachetas, which Karuna again sang in the verses, very beautiful. Extraordinary bhakti. And we also see how the unfavorable attitudes in bhakti, how we can learn from those and avoid these mistakes, like Daksha's Suruchi, the stepmother of Dhruv, King Vena, Indra, king of heaven, but sometimes he behaves a little bit dodgily. And then you got Pachinar Barhi, who was very attached to the king. Narad Muni spoke to him and preached to him. And then how he transformed himself. And the others as well. All of these transformed except for King Vena, who was destroyed by the Brahmins, and they churned his body and came out Prithu. 5th canto, talks about the Visarga, the material creation quite a lot. And then Priyavrat was churned from the body of King Venu. And an example was given of Priyavrat, how he didn't want to engage in material activities, but he was persuaded by his grandfather, Lord Brahma, and how even though he effectively fell from spiritual life because he engaged in material life, how he stayed above material life and transcended into the spiritual world. And King Bharat, extraordinary pastime, truly extraordinary pastime, which Bhagavatam shows us the process of reincarnation and how, and bhakti, how the Lord protects, even one may fall down, but if one reaches a decent level of spiritual consciousness, the Lord will never forsake that devotee, which is exactly what happened to Bharat Maharaj. He took birth as a deer, even though he was an exalted person, because he became attached to a deer. But he remembered his previous life. Then he became Brahman, Jad Bharat. Again, he remembered his past two lives.
Krishna's mercy only he remember. No one
Krishna's
can remember
mercy.
their past life.
Yeah, very few people remember. Occasionally,
Yes.
even in this world, there are certain examples, but very rare.
We don't remember that our past life.
So then,
because
that's right.
we are not elevated that much as Bharat Maharaj.
So then the geography of the universe was discussed, how this Bhumandal is situated and where we are living, Jambudweep, the 9 islands. One of the islands is Jambudweep. Quite challenging chapters about the structure of the universe. Then we came to the 6th canto, which was the chest of the Supreme Lord, corresponds to the chest.
We heard the story of Vruttasura also.
That's right. This is the classic where the end of the 5th canto, Parikshit Maharaj talks about the hellish planets. Sorry, Sukadeva Goswami talks about hellish
24
planets.
hellish planets.
And then Parikshit Maharaj, he's saying, well, these hellish planets are there, but how can these our living entities, how can we be saved from them? And then Sukadeva Goswami explains the pastime of Ajameo, another tremendous pastime. Really gives us hope in this Kali Yuga that we, against all odds, because we are under control of Maya, but against all odds, we can transcend this Maya by taking shelter of the holy names of the Lord. And this pastime of Ajamel is such an important pastime. And the Narayan Kavach is there, Vrittasura, a demon. We see how this demon is actually an exalted personality. In his previous life, he was Chitraketu, and Chitraketu is again described, and his pastimes are really revealing pastimes, how we should not be attached to anybody in this world. 7th and 8th cantos, they correspond to the arms of the Lord, and apparently Parikshit Maharaj questions the apparent partiality of the Lord towards the devotees, and especially Indra. But then Sukadeva Goswami explained, no, the Lord is equal to all. Even when he punishes the demons, he's actually benefiting them and gives them liberation. And then he refers to this extraordinary conversation between Narad Muni and Yudhishthira, and they were talking about Shishupal. Also, the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj are discussed in Canto 7, and Shringadev's appearance, fundamentally important pastimes to remember. 8th canto talks about different manvantaras that appear, talks about Gajendra, his wonderful prayers, the churning of the milk ocean, Lord Shiva's drinking the poison and hence being called Nilakant. Mohini Murti is described in the 8th canto, the female incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Incredible. And how she bewilders even Lord Shiva. And then the pastimes of Bali, another extremely rich pastime which we can really learn so much from, and the appearance of Lord Vamandev, and how Lord Vamandev tricks Bali and conquers his heart and then becomes his gatekeeper. Canto 9 describes the different dynasties arising from the sun and the moon, Surya.
Even Lord Rama's story.
And
Yeah,
that's it.
The
Very good.
Mahabharat.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a summary, not
That's right. That's right. Ramachandra is there, Surya Vam's dynasty. And then Shukadev Goswami goes into the moon, Chandra dynasty. And then we come into,
Yayati Devyani Sharmishta also.
that's it. Then the final chapter of Canto 9 is about Krishna. And then we're coming into the 10th canto now. So in the 10th canto, very brief overview. There's 3 principal pastimes. His Vrajalila, which takes up at least a third of the 10th canto. Then we have the Mathura Lila, where he goes and rescues his parents and kills Kamsa. And then we have the Dwarka Lila. And 90 chapters, so all the other cantos have between 20 and 30 chapters, more or less. But this one is like almost a third of the whole Bhagavatam. Extraordinary. The first 4 chapters reveal the appearance of the Lord after the prayers of Lord Brahma for his appearance. Then up to chapter 39. So it's more than 45% odd. Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan are revealed by Sukadeva Goswami. Oops. Then the 40th chapter describes how Krishna enjoys in the Yamuna and how a crew offers prayers to him. 41 to 51, Mathura. And then the rest is pastimes in Dwarka and other different pastimes as well. So now in these chapters, there's some really very, very powerful chapters in this canto. 29 to 33 is the Ras Leela. A lot of people go straight to the Ras Leela. They want to enjoy, but it's recommended that we go through cantos 1 to 9 first. And then hopefully if we're qualified enough, going to canto 10. I must say I'm not qualified, but we'll try to make some effort and pray to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj to qualify us to enter into the nectar of the 10th canto. So these 5 chapters are known as Rasa Panchadhyaya, and the 47th chapter of the 10th canto is a description known as Brahmara Gita, very powerful. So let's start with number 1. So this is a verse which we can recite, 44th verse of the first chapter.
Tasmannakasyachidoham acharet sa tatha vidaha atmanaha shemam anvichan drogdur vaiparato bhayam. Therefore, since envious impious activities cause a body in which one suffers in the next life, why should one act impiously? Considering one's welfare, one should not envy anyone, for an envious person must always fear harm from his enemies, either in this life or in the next.
So this is a phenomenal instruction. Shouldn't envy anybody, because that will keep us in this world. We have what we have because the way we have behaved and the mercy of the Lord in our past life, how we behaved in the past life and the mercy of the Lord in this life. So let's not worry too much about our neighbors or other family members or friends. Don't worry about anything. They may have much more than we have in every sense. Doesn't matter. We should be very thankful to the Lord for what he has provided and always beg him, please engage me in your seva. There's nothing higher than that. No matter what type of seva it is, if one is engaged in the service of the Lord, got absolutely no need to envy anybody or think negatively of anybody. This is the beauty of bhakti, that we're fortunate to be But we need to understand that there should be no negativity. If we're doing bhakti, then within bhakti, there is no discrimination by the Lord what sort of bhakti one does. If one is doing bhakti, then one is engaged with the Supreme Lord. No need to be envious, no need to be negative towards anybody. Just be thankful he's engaging us in some sort of bhakti through, of course, our spiritual guru. Okay, it's Advent of Lord Krishna, introduction. This is the chapter's name. It describes how Kamsa, frightened by hearing an omen about his being killed by the 8th son of Devaki, killed Devaki's sons one after the other. Maharaj Pariksit, he glorifies Lord Krishna. Sukadeva Goswami finished describing the dynasty of the Yadus, as well as the dynasty of the Chandradev and Suryadev. Maharaj Pariksit requested him, please describe the pastimes of Lord Krishna, who appeared with Baladev in the Yadu dynasty, how Krishna performed his activities within this world. Krishna is transcendental, the king said, and therefore to understand his activities is the occupational duty of liberated souls. Hearing of Krishna Leela is the way by which to achieve the highest goal of life. Except for an animal killer or one who is following a policy of suicide, every intelligent person must strive to understand Krishna and his activities. And of course, Pariksit Maharaj had a brief encounter with this amazing personality while he was in the womb of Uttara. And he was always searching out this extraordinary person. Everybody he'd meet, he'd check him out. And that's why he's called Parikshit. He's an examiner. He would examine everybody. Is this the person I saw? So when he heard Sukadeva Goswami describe Krishna, his enthusiasm to hear more about Krishna just increased so much. Taking the boat of Krishna's lotus feet, the king's grandfather. So this is Sukadeva Goswami is explaining. Your grandfather, Arjun, and others crossed the ocean of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in which such commanders as Bhishma Dev resembled great fish that could very easily have swallowed them. By the mercy of Krishna, the Pandavas crossed this ocean, which is very difficult to cross, as easily as one steps over the hoof print of a calf. So this is an example sometimes given, how Krishna can turn the ocean of material existence into a small hoof print of a calf. You can just step over it very easily. The king himself.
Yes.
The king himself was saved in his mother's womb by the fiery weapon of Ashwatthama, by Lord Krishna, who entered her womb, protected Parikshit with his Sudarshan Chakra. Krishna was the only worshipable deity for the Pandavas. Yes, but Riyansh.
Raja, I was telling in middle your voice has not came, and now it is coming.
Okay, thank you. Parikshit Maharaj is eager to hear about Lord Krishna. He wanted to, Sukadeva Goswami, to tell him more. So he asked a series of questions. So this is very important when we are interested in spiritual life, to have questions so that we benefit, the speaker benefits, and the listeners benefit as well, the audience benefit. So his questions are, how did his lordship, Baladev, the son of Rohini, he could have appeared in the womb of Devaki? He was surprised. Why did Krishna transfer himself from Mathura to Vrindavan? How did he live there with his family members? What did Krishna do in Mathura and Vrindavan? Why did he kill his maternal uncle, Kamsa? As such killing is not at all sanctioned in the scriptures. For many years, how many years did Krishna reside in Dwarka? How many queens did he have? Because he heard all of this from his parents. But he wanted to know from authorized source, Sukadeva Goswami. He also requested Sukadeva Goswami. Yeah, are you struggling? Is everybody else struggling as well to hear us?
Yes, Prabhuji, now we can hear.
It's just him.
No, just wait.
No, I think it's intermittent. I sometimes can't hear you, so the
Yeah,
story doesn't link.
I can't hear sometimes either.
So we still got an issue, huh?
Intermittent.
Yeah. Okay.
Hotspot.
Yeah, also Prabhu, can't hear you at times.
Okay.
It's gone again.
It's gone again. Okay. Oh, I tell you what, let's do it a different way. No, don't worry about hotspot. Let's do it through
Recording
this.
in progress.
Just one second.
Sorry, Prabhu, we can't hear at all now.
How is it now? Is it better now?
As you say, how is it now? We heard you, but whatever story we didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. I don't know about the others.
Okay. Very briefly.
I
Parikshit-
also.
very brief. I hope it's better now. Very briefly, Parikshit Maharaj, he asks many questions of Sukadeva Goswami. So these are the questions. How his lordship Baladev, the son of Rohini, could have appeared in the womb of Devaki. Why did Krishna transfer himself from Mathura to Vrindavan? How did he live there with his family members? What did Krishna do in Mathura and Vrindavan? Why did he kill his maternal uncle Kamsa? As such killing is not at all sanctioned in the Shastras. How many years did Krishna reside in Dwarka? How many queens did he have? So he had lots and lots of questions. He had heard about Krishna's pastimes from his relatives, from his friends, but now he wanted to hear from the authorized source, and that is. Are we clearer now?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can hear you, yes.
Okay, good. And before that, the first 7 verses basically is Parikshit Maharaj wanting to, he was asking Sukadeva Goswami, please describe more about Krishna. And Sukadeva Goswami explains that Krishna's pastime was so great that they can allow us to cross over this material ocean, just like you stepping over a hoof print of a calf. And Sukadeva Goswami also explained that how Bhishma Dev and all of these Dronacharya, they were great fish that could have easily swallowed up the Pandavas, but Krishna protected Arjuna and the Pandavas, and they did not. They conquered everybody. So Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadeva Goswami, they're very, very enthusiastic. Sukadeva Goswami began to speak about Krishna consciousness. Maharaj Parikshit, he forgot the fatigue brought about by his fasting. Now we know fasting can be quite challenging, right? If we don't eat for a few hours, we go through all sorts of difficult situations within our mind. Now Parikshit Maharaj, he wasn't going to eat. He was going to fast until death. So how tired he must have been. The fatigue must have been undescribable. But because he was so enthusiastic, why he didn't feel the fatigue? Sukadeva Goswami was very enthusiastic to describe Krishna's pastimes, like the war.
Lost you.
Escape from. And let's go into. Okay, now it should be better. How's it now?
Better.
Yeah.
Now we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So even though Parikshit Maharaj was fasting for 7 days, 7 nights, he did not feel any fatigue because they were talking about Krishna's pastimes. This is the beauty of Krishna's, the pastimes, and Krishna, thinking about Krishna, remembering Krishna. Even if we are fasting on Ekadashi, if we remember Krishna, then he will carry us through the austerity of fasting. Yes, Riyansh?
Prabhuji, if the spiritual guru is enthusiastic, the disciple also is enthusiastic to hear.
Very good. That's right. That is a quality is required. But sometimes it happens the spiritual master may be very enthusiastic, but the disciple may not be so enthusiastic. So the idea is that this disciple becomes qualified by becoming enthusiastic to hear from the spiritual master. Very good. So what happened? Once, when the entire world was overburdened by the increasing military power of demons in the form of kings, Mother Earth assumed the shape of a cow, and she approached Brahma for relief. Sympathetic to Mother Earth's lamentation, Brahma, accompanied by Lord Shiva and the other demigods, took the cow-shaped Mother Earth to the shore of the Milk Ocean. So Mother Earth, Bhumidev, she transformed herself into Gomata, because Krishna is very sympathetic to Gomata. Krishna is sympathetic to Mother Earth, but he's more sympathetic to Gomata. So she took the form of Gomata. They offered prayers to please Lord Vishnu. Oh, is here. Who lay there on an island in transcendental ecstasy. With great attention, the Devatas recited the Vedic mantras known as the Purusha Shukta. So Karuna, I was going to ask you to do the Purusha Shukta. I got it wrong. I said it will be tomorrow, but it's actually today.
Oh,
That's okay, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow.
okay.
That's okay. Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow. So yes, Nani Ben.
Yes, the Lord Vishnu at on the shore of the Milk Ocean, when they approached, is it Kshirodaksha Vishnu that they are approaching?
Very good. Yes, correct. Very good
Oh,
point.
good. I got it right. Correct.
Yeah, you got good understanding, Nani Ben. Good understanding. And in fact, I think okay, hopefully yeah, there you go. This is the demigods approaching. Of course, in fact, they can't even see. Like, if you look at Lord Shiva, he's putting his hand over his eyes, trying to see the Lord. Actually, they can't even see the Lord because his effulgence is so bright. And only person who can have a little glimpse is actually Lord Brahma. But even he struggles because of the effulgence of the Lord. So what happened in this situation? They prayed, they did this Purusha Shukta, which we'll start with tomorrow, the Purusha Shukta prayers. These prayers are from the Rig Vedas. And these prayers are the prayers that the demigods, whenever they go to see Lord Vishnu, they will pray, they will recite these prayers. They really please the Supreme Lord. So we, Karuna Banda, tomorrow will recite those. We're very fortunate to be able to listen to these wonderful prayers. So they're at this Milk Ocean. And where is this Milk Ocean? Oh, over 5,000 years ago, Mother Earth, being unable to bear the burden of the demoniac kings, went to Brahma in the form of a cow for help. And together with the demigods, they approached Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So there you go, Naniben, on the ocean of milk, at his Shvetadweep planet in this material world. This is a spiritual planet, not a material planet like ours. And we did this as part of Damodar Leela. The lesson to learn from this pastime is that Devatas approach the Lord with great humility and respect, understanding he's our only protector and guide. We similarly should remain humble and respectful in all situations. So this is an idea, overview of this world that we live in. This is the material world. Beyond this world is the Vaikuntha planets. And beyond the Vaikuntha planets is Golok, Vrindavan, where Lord Krishna resides eternally.
In Middle Ayodhya.
In the middle of Ayodhya. Very good. And
We have
around,
to cross Kailash to go to Vaikunta, Kailash.
Kailash, and also the Brahmajyoti. Very good. Very
Yes.
good. So there's
Meenakshi
material.
Hotel Brahmajyoti unde.
Brahmajyoti is the effulgence of the Lord, Ayodhya, and then we have Golok, Krishna's abode. And in this world, so this bit here, a little bit more detail is here. This is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who, and if we look, the three Vishnus, who's that Vishnu gone? He's disappeared from here.
Is there?
Where? Ah, yeah. Sorry, we got a line across him. But there's Karandaksha Vishnu here. The red line sort of covers him a bit. Then this is from Karandaksha Vishnu comes Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So in every universe, Lord Vishnu enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And then he expands himself as the third Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, who is the Paramatma. And Kshirodaksha Vishnu is the one that the demigods approach because he has his embassy in this world, in Shwetadweep. So there he is.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
Kshirodaksha Vishnu is also on a sort of like a Ananta Sheshnag.
He has an Sheshnag serving him. He's sleeping on him. Yeah.
He's sleeping like Garbhodaksha Vishnu.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anantashesh always is serving the Lord. Yeah, serving the Lord. Always in that mood of service. Correct, correct. And he came again when Krishna came to protect him, when they crossed over from Mathura to Gokul.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Kaushalya Maji.
this Vishnu, all these Vishnus, they only reside in, not in Goloka, they reside in Vaikuntha.
Yes, correct. Vishnu is here. This is his residence.
In
Vaikuntha.
Vaikuntha, yeah. So in
Vaikuntha.
Goloka, only Krishna is there.
Only Krishna is there. And Balaram, of course.
Gaurang Mahaprabhu is there, isn't it?
Gauranga, yeah. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda. And often Vishnu will make an excuse to go and see Krishna in Golok. Like when Adhik Mas came to him and said, hey, everybody's insulting me. Lord Vishnu said, all right. He could have solved all the problems, but he said, no, let's go and see Krishna. So any excuse to go and see Krishna.
Prabhuji, where is the Narsim Bhagwan and Kapil Dev and Vaman Avatar and
All in the Vaikuntha planets.
they're all in Vaikuntha.
All in the Vaikuntha, yeah.
Rauji, can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Rauji, can I say what coverings the presiding deities worship without seeing? The 8 coverings, what
Oh, but that's not relevant now, right? You mean these 8 coverings here? What we're going to say, I can show you. You mean here? These 8
to tell the presiding deities.
Yeah, we'll do that another time, okay? And that becomes relevant another time. So, but we will take too much time otherwise. But here are the coverings of the universe.
God, water, fire, ether.
Yeah.
Ego. And
Yeah.
Mahatattva.
Yeah. Good.
I like this picture.
Yeah. So this is the demigods offering the Purusha Shukta, prayers of glorification to appease the Lord. These prayers are from the Rig Vedas and explain the Virat Purush in 18 verses, the universal form of the Lord. So the lesson from that is the Devatas are very powerful beings in this world, but they also pray to the Supreme Lord for his kind protection. So we must also pray very regularly that the Lord allows us to remember him all the time. We shouldn't take it for granted. We are chanting, we're thinking, and we sometimes take it very lightly. we chant without really paying too much attention to what we're doing. But actually, it's a fantastic blessing of the Lord to allow us to chant. It's a privilege, honor. And we should actually pray to the Lord, my dear Lord, please allow me to chant purely. Allow me to chant your holy names all the time. Very important. So the Devatas setting the example. Now, in this situation, actually, they couldn't see Vishnu. Lord Brahma, however, received a SMS, a message from the Lord that, don't worry, I will be appearing to mitigate the burden that's created by the demons. So a message was sent to Lord Brahma, and he transmitted that message to the Devatas. Lord Vishnu communicated directly to Brahma with the message that he will descend in the Yadu family, and the Devatas should also take birth on earth. So the lesson to learn from that is, when our heart is as pure as Lord Brahma's, then we will be able to hear the Lord's guidance, because he'll always be in our hearts. And our hearts become pure by chanting the holy names of the Lord. So very important lessons from first chapter. The demigods, along with their wives, should appear as associates of Lord Krishna in the family of Yadu to increase the sons and grandsons in that dynasty. By the will of Krishna, Anantadev would appear first as Balaram, just to please Supreme Lord Krishna. So this is the message that's been given to Brahma. And to assist Krishna in his transcendental pastimes, and Krishna's potency, Yogamaya or Vishnumaya, would also appear. Lord Brahma informed Mother Earth about all of this, and then he went back to his abode. So the next section is the pastime of Vasudeva and Devaki. Surasen, the chief of the Yadu dynasty, father of Vasudeva, had gone to live in the city of Mathura. And since that time, the city of Mathura had been the capital of all the kings of the Yadu dynasty. The city and district of Mathura are very intimately connected with Krishna, for Lord Krishna lives there eternally. After marrying Devaki, Vasudeva was returning home with her. So there was a fantastic marriage that took place, which united two families, Surasen and Ugrasen. Now, Kamsa, he was the son of King Ugrasen, and he was really happy. He was a nasty piece of work, but he was so happy that his best friend, Vasudeva, was marrying his cousin, Devaki. And on this occasion of the marriage, he took charge of the horses and became the chariot driver. So this is, of course, we know chariot drivers, that's a menial task. So King Kamsa, he was the son of Ugrasen, he was the crown prince, but he took the humble position of the chariot driver for Vasudeva and Devaki's wedding. Now, what happened? All of a sudden, an anonymous voice came from the sky, addressing Kamsa, warning him, "You foolish rascal, you don't know, but the 8th son of Devaki is going to kill you. It's going to destroy you." Upon hearing this omen, taking his sword in his right hand, Kamsa was immediately ready to kill Devaki. But Vasudeva diplomatically began to instruct him. So he was ready to kill. He could not tolerate what was being said. And this is the mood of Kamsa. He was very, very nasty piece of work. So the lesson to learn from this, life can throw very challenging situations at us. But like Vasudeva, he kept a cool head and he was devoted to the Lord. He cleverly convinced Kamsa not to kill Devaki. So often we will come across situations where it almost seems impossible how we're going to get out of this situation, right? But Vasudeva kept a very cool head. And because he's devoted to the Supreme Lord, he was able to convince Kamsa, no, don't do such a demoniac thing. So how did he try to pacify Kamsa? He said to him, look, it's not good for you, a Kshatriya, to kill your own younger sister, especially when she's getting married. You are the pride of the Bhoja dynasty, and great heroes praise you. How can you, such a qualified person, kill your own sister? And you know, one who possesses a material body, you're going to die at some point. Every living entity in a body is in a body for some little time and then goes into another body. But is unfortunately misled into thinking that this body is the soul. So Vasudeva was giving him transcendental instructions. If a person under this mistaken conception wants to kill another body, you're going to be condemned to hell because you're doing such bad karma. And such envious person, this is the worst that we did, such envious, impious activities cause a body in which one suffers in the next life. Why should one act so impiously? So this is the point about being envious. We have to stop that. We are envious, unfortunately. We're envious of Krishna. That's the original reason we're here. So this is a really important instruction by Vasudeva. As his younger sister, this poor girl, Devaki, is like your own daughter, deserves to be treated affectionately and not be killed. So you should become affectionate. Now, all of that actually didn't persuade Kamsa. Good arguments. But what he did persuade him, because he knew Vasudeva was a good person. He kept his word. So Vasudeva said to him, okay, you're not convinced by what I've said here. I promise you, I give you my word that as soon as the child is born to Devaki, I will bring him to you and you can do what you like. Now that stopped Vasudeva in his tracks. Stopped Kamsa in his tracks. He realized, yes, I can trust Vasudeva. I know him. He will keep his word. So in that way, Vasudeva was thinking, look, let me at least save the life of Devaki, because I may not be able to save the lives of the children, but at least let me save the lives of Devaki. At least the children will come. And then hopefully Lord Krishna, who he had full faith in, will make a plan to come and destroy Kamsa. So Kamsa was happy. In due course of time, Devaki gave birth to a child. Vasudeva was very much disturbed by fear of becoming a liar by breaking his promise. So with great pain, he delivered his firstborn son, named Kirtiman, into the hands of Kamsa. That must have been the most incredibly difficult task to perform. But he did his duty. Kamsa, upon seeing Vasudeva's magnanimity, he was struck with wonder. He was amazed how Vasudeva came before him. And when Vasudeva gave Kamsa the child, Kamsa, showing some intelligence, said that since he was to be killed by the 8th child, why should he kill the first? So he gave the son back to Vasudeva. Vasudeva didn't trust him, but at least Kamsa didn't immediately kill him. However, now this is where Narad Muni, the transcendental troublemaker, came and approached Kamsa, and he disclosed to him, don't you know the demigods are appearing in the Yandu dynasty? They're getting ready to kill you. The Vrishni dynasty, they're all going to be in your, the enemies for you. And don't you realize that he then plucked a flower, I believe, and he started plucking the petals. And he said, well, how can you count which one is number 8? Number 8 may be number 1. What method of counting are you using? So you don't know, the Lord could appear at any moment. So you should think about that. He didn't tell him, kill the child, but he said, you should think about this. So that made Kamsa think. He began fearing his death. He decided that any child born from the womb of Devaki must be killed. Thus he arrested and imprisoned both Devaki and Vasudeva, and he killed 6 of their sons, one after another. Narad also informed Kamsa that in his previous life, Kamsa was Kala Nemi, a demon killed by Vishnu. Consequently, Kamsa became a great enemy to all the descendants of the Yadu Vams, the Yadu dynasty. He even arrested and imprisoned his own father, Ugrasen, for Kamsa wanted to enjoy the kingdom alone. So one after the other, he came and he would kill. And the lesson from this, wicked people can be very cruel. So be careful of associating with worldly minded people. They can do anything for sense enjoyment. So this is a practical lesson. So that's the end of the Bhagavatam, first chapter. Any questions, any comments? Yes, Nani.
Yes, I think the Narati incited Kamsa because he wanted the avatar or Krishna to appear sooner rather than later.
Yes, that's correct. He wanted Kamsa to behave so badly.
Yeah.
That because Kamsa was starting to behave like a goody two shoes, and that actually wouldn't have worked very well because Krishna's mission was to remove the burden of these demoniac kings. So if Kamsa had suddenly become a little bit pious, that wouldn't have fitted well into the plan, because there were so many kings, Jarasan, Shishupal, all of these kings were really causing a burden to the earth. So Narad Muni, he understood the mission of the Lord, so he wound up Kamsa. That's very true.
My another question is, Prabhuji, the Yadu dynasty we know about. We don't know. I don't know much about the Rishi dynasty.
Vrishni dynasty. Yes, Vrishni dynasty, that came in the 9th canto, and I'm just looking where it is.
Who's it at? Is it
Vrishni dynasty is here. That's the dynasty which comes from Yayati, Divyani, the Yadu. So the Yadu dynasty, from Yadu comes Vrishni. One of the great-grandsons is Vrishni. And from Vrishni comes Akrur, Kritavarma, Surasen. So in essence, it's the Yadu dynasty, but Vrishni is regarded to be one of the main personalities as well. So he's known as the Yadu or the Vrishni dynasty. So from Vrishni came Surasen. Surasen's father is son is Vasudev, and daughter is Mother Kunti. And on the other side, we had Vishnu had a brother called Andaka, who had Ugrasen as his son, whose son was Kamsa. So in that way, Ugrasen had a brother called Devaka, and Devaka's brother was Devak. Devaka's daughter was Devaki, and the marriage was between the Vrishnis and the Yadus, basically. It's a little confusing.
Yes. Okay.
But Vrishni is basically one of the ancestors of the Yadu dynasty as well, but a very important part.
So, Devaki, she came from Vrishni dynasty.
Yadu. She's part of the Yadu dynasty. So Yadu going through Andaka. Andaka is the brother of Vishnu. Andaka's son was Ugrasen and Devak. And Devak's daughter is Devaki. And Devaki got married into the Vrishni family, whose ancestors are or progeny is Surasen and Vasudev.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that. And thank you to this family tree of Lord Krishna, which Jayanti found and is now our mat, mouse mat. Thank you for that, Naniman. Thank you for asking, actually. Very important to understand that. Very good. Very good. Anybody else? Lena, any question from your side?
Oh, I just wanted to know, you said that Vishnu resides in Vaikut and Krishna resides in Goloka Vrindavan.
Yes.
But is Vishnu not Krishna's avatar?
Yes, often that is the impression given because Krishna, and we'll tackle that tomorrow.
Okay.
Is it appearance of Lord Krishna tomorrow? Yeah, we'll tackle it tomorrow. But it's in essence, although Vishnu appears first and then transforms into baby Krishna, the Bhagavatam, the book that we're going through, and the Brahma Samhita explains that the source of Vishnu, there is a source for Vishnu as well, and that's Krishna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we'll go into in a little bit of detail tomorrow. So
Thank
we'll only
you.
do one chapter, but it'll be quite a bit of detail about who exactly is Krishna in comparison to Vishnu. It's one and the same person. It's, like they both got the same powers. They're both Vishnu Tattva. They're both, spiritual, there's both the supreme lords, if you like. But Vishnu's mood is one of God in the office, and Krishna's mood is one of God at home. But Krishna is regarded to be the source. And one of in the first canto, it describes, second chapter, can't remember the verse number, Krishna stu Bhagwan Swayam. Krishna stu Bhagwan Swayam. Yeah. So Krishna stu Bhagwan is the Supreme Lord. Swayam, the original Supreme Lord. Original.
Yeah.
From whom everybody else comes.
Okay.
But often that conception, and we don't argue with somebody if they say Vishnu is supreme and Krishna came from Vishnu. It doesn't matter because they're the one and the same person in one sense. So we don't get into any heavy arguments.
Yeah.
But to understand the position of Krishna so that one understands the constitutional situation of the Lord, it's important that we do understand that Krishna is the source of everything.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you for asking. It's a common sort of, if you like, a misconception, although I don't really, I wouldn't put anybody down for thinking Vishnu is a supreme, because at least they're in the right ballpark, So
No. I was just slightly confused. Like, is it?
Yeah.
I know, of course, I know Krishna is the supreme, but I didn't know that whether Vishnu was his other avatar or was it Krishna himself.
Yeah, he is an avatar. Vishnu is the avatar of Krishna. And I'll show you, if you're able to join tomorrow, or you can listen to it later if you can't, we will do the family lineage, if you like, of the Supreme Lord. Not within this world, but in the spiritual world. So you'll see how Krishna relates with all the other different avatars. Not all the other different avatars, but some of the other avatars.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji.
No, thank you for the question. Thank you very much, actually. Anybody else? Anything else? Thank you. We've slightly gone over time, so appreciate your patience. Sorry about that. And Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, 10th canto ki jai.